Right guys, made some more lead today. Lead weights, took aboard your comments and your advice. Got myself a good ladle so I could keep the pot on the stove. Made 15, 20, 175, no problem at all, so cheers to that. Today we're going to talk about Abu 6, well, it is an Abu, but it's a Zeta, a 6600 reel. Now, traditionally for casting 150, I've always used 6500s. Level filled, 6500, there's probably enough line for maybe 350, 360 yard cast at least, I would say. So recently what I've been doing is just running it a wee bit, just under spool. The thinking being, it's a lighter spool, you can get away with less mags. Now the old school way of thinking used to be, you have it quite full up because there's quite a lot of drag at the end of the cast. Now I don't know if this is related to when people used to use brake blocks a lot and whatever, but with these new ABEX 7 hybrid bearings and all, the spool spins forever. It's not going to create that much drag at the end of the cast. So, building a wee reel for someone, it's going to be a Zeta 6600, which is actually a smaller spool than the black one's a 6500, the gold's a 6600. It's exactly the same width, but a few mil smaller. So it could be the perfect size reel for 150 gram for the big casters. So we'll just go through, weigh the spool out and stuff, compare it to this, and build the reel up using this old school sports rocket as a donor reel. Okay, so first of all, let's measure the spools up. So, standard 6500. Just under 42 mil. 41.72. Zeta spool, just under 42, 41.95. So the interesting thing will be the difference in the diameter here. .39 mil for the Abu 6500. .37 mil for the 6600, so that is indeed 2 millimeters smaller. Now 2 millimeters doesn't sound like much, but as you all know, when the lines fill up, a full rotation at that diameter is quite a lot of line compared to 2 mil down here. So rough estimate off the top of my head, I'm going to say that 2 mil is at least 70-80 meters of line, probably less capacity, as a rough guess off the top of my head. So weight wise, what are they like? Get my pocket thing out here. Okay, so black Abu spool, no bearings or anything in it. 20.2 grams. Zeta 6600, 14.4 grams. So there's at least 25% weight saving in the weight of the spool. Now obviously when it's full of line, it'll not be the same percentage, but it's a good weight saving all the same. Probably get away with a wee bit less mag breaking at the start. Right, so let's move on to doing this conversion here. Okay, so first of all we're going to take off the side plate of this donor reel because we're going to actually change the monomag. There we go. So we've actually got a Zeta monomag for this, so we're going to take this existing mag off. Most monomags have an 8 mil diameter hole in the side plate, so I'm hoping it'll be a straight swap. Okay, this is a Rocket Reel Company monomag. One good thing about them is, well, the bad thing about the standard knob is it just about clears this, and you also don't really know if it's fully on or off. I think it's a 2 mil Allen key. Oh, just unscrew that, take off the knob. Then we just screw out the monomag. Then we get ourselves a 10mm. This wee hex nut's 10mm. That was straightforward enough. Screw that back on. So what we'll do next is we'll get our Zeta monomag, which is brand new. It's a fiddly wee bag to get open. Rip it. So there's our nice new shiny gold Zeta monomag. These are smaller. The wee grub screw is actually a smaller. I think it's a 1mm. Now I do prefer the bigger grub screws with 2mm because these have a habit of rounding off very easily. So I definitely prefer. Zeta, can you make these in 2mm grub screws, please? Just unscrew the monomag and the shaft. So what we're left with is the wee collar that goes on the outside and the threaded bit goes on the inside of the plate. So hopefully this will fit first time, and it fits perfect. Goes straight in. And then this. Now if I can just nip that up with a flathead. In case you use this big flathead just to tighten this up. Now I don't really like grabbing that with pliers because you end up scratching it. So try to hold it as best I can with thumb. It's good and tight now. Perfect fit. Okay, so next we grab our magnet holder shaft and the spring. Screw it in from the inside of the plate. And pretty much screw it in as far as it goes. Just keep it out of the way of the spool for now. Right, so that's that job done. Next, we'll take our original spool because Jonathan has these upgraded Hybrid 7 ceramic bearings that he wants to use in the new spool. So it's just a case of pulling this one out. It's one out. And the other one, as usual, wee circlip, tiny flathead underneath it. Hold it with your thumb, just pull it off. Take off the drive plate. Pull out the other, well, it's easier to push the other bearing out from the other side. If I have something long enough, which I don't, to hand. Just pull this bearing out. There we go. I set that to the side. So we got our brand new Zeta spool, which are quite pricey, but they're very light and they always balance perfectly. So first of all, stick in the bearing on the drive side. Pop that in. Put our drive plate on. Actually, no. I think one came with a spool. A smaller one doesn't actually. You don't actually need these wee pins here there for brake blocks. So this one comes without the pins, as you can see. Now, just a wee bit lighter. That's the only advantage of it, really. Then put our circlip back on. And the Zeta spools have a nice wee groove. 4 wee. It's a bit fuzzy to get this on. You can see there's like circlip sits under those 4 wee slots. Just make sure it's pushed in nice and you don't want that popping off mid cast. That's good and secure. And then we take our other bearing, push it in that side. Sometimes you put a wee clip in there to retain the bearings so it doesn't fall out, but I generally just leave them as they are. So what we'll do is we'll take our Zeta frame. Isn't that actually lovely? Very, very light cage. I must actually just weigh it just to see the weight of a 6600 cage for reference. Let's just weigh that. 54 grams. Let's compare that to a standard Abu 6500. Which is 108. So we're pretty much half the weight. So we'll take our lovely Zeta cage. See where this bit's all hollowed out for lightweight. Both sides. Definitely a kind of, well, I wouldn't take one fishing, I wouldn't want to damage it with the cost of them. So take our left hand side plate, put it on the left hand side. Just need to click on. It's a good fit. A tight fit, but a good fit. So put our screws back in. Okay, so let's take our speed billet, pop it in there. Back the mag right off for now. Take the, just to make sure it's running nice and true, slide this on. Just like to make sure it's running nice and true. Just in case the spindle's bent or something, or the plate's warped, the end plate, which might affect smooth running of it. Now, you might have seen a video that I done the other day of using the end cap. So this spool's sitting far too much to the right. So I'll back that one off. Try to get the spool nice and centered. Just make sure the drive plate's engaging properly. Good powerful drag on that. Okay, so once we have our spool centered in the frame, adjust our end float, then we can go about setting up the mag. So what I'm going to do is just spin that and just start turning the mag with no knob on it until it touches the spool. That's it touching the spool now. Now what I'm going to do now, back it off half a turn. So I know it's definitely not touching the spool. Next thing, it's a bit time consuming this, but it needs done. So next thing, take the plate back off again. Okay, so we take our end plate off. What we'll do is we grab the magnet so it can't turn, because we have it set in position, and we'll do screw the knob on. Then we tighten up the grub screw that holds the knob on. And there we have it. Sometimes I just like to put a tiny wee bit of oil on the threads, just so it makes the reeling of it nice and smooth. Not reeling in, sorry, wind it off. Just let it soak through into the threads. There we have it. So pull it back in. Side plate screws back in. Just check that. Mag full on. Mag off. Right, time you get a bit of line that'll run forever, I would say. Remember again, just a tiny bit of air float. Now is that not a lovely reel? Zeta Tuning / AWU 6600. So, out of interest, let's weigh the entire weight of the reel. I'd say it's going to be 300 and something grams. Well, 296. That's very light. Compare that to think of a Chrome Rocket, standard Chrome Rockets, something like 460 grams. So, young Jonathan, your reel's ready to be loaded with line, and you're getting very close to me. So if you start beating me with this, I might have to get myself a 6600. So cheers, guys. Just because to show you, it's some people don't like working on reels because they haven't really much experience doing it before. But the more you do it, the more you get to know what's going on, how to sort of sort them out. They're not that terribly complicated, really, if you have a sort of basic understanding of mechanical things at all. So cheers, guys, until the next time. Stay subscribed and be safe out there always.